You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hello and welcome to episode 114 of the Soul Forge podcast.
Welcome to the Soul Forge, a place of silent mystery, quiet contemplation, and outright mayhem. Join your host, Sean Vanderloo, as he guides you through the adventures of living. Together, we'll talk about life and love, sex and dating, joy and heartache, memories and loss, and so much more. Don't worry, it's not nearly as pretentious as it sounds. Get ready for life, the universe, and everything on the Soul Forge.
Hey everybody, it's Sean, your regular host, and today I've got a fellow podcaster as a guest. Why don't you introduce yourself, Steve?
Hey everybody, I am Steve from A Play on Nerds. We've had Sean on our show once or twice or a few times.
Something like that.
Something like that, somewhere in that range. And we also talk about nerdy stuff. We're a little bit more, I'll say pop culture-y.
Yeah.
And a little bit more crude.
Yes.
We are not a family-friendly show necessarily.
No, definitely not. No. So you can do A Play on Nerds with German.
And we just recorded episode 125 yesterday, I think.
Oh, nice. Look forward to that.
Yeah. We're in it. You produce a ton of stuff, though. It's incredible.
And we've been podcasting,
like, we can't do it at the rate you do it.
But the same amount of time, too, right? 5.5 years for you guys?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, and that's what it is for Rusted Robot podcast.
You just pump out content. It's incredible.
We do. We just did episode 253.
Yeah, we can't do that. We don't have that. Don't have that kind of coordination.
Well, you guys also live in separate towns, don't you?
Yeah, we live across the country. He lives in Orlando, and I live in San Jose, California.
That's quite a big difference then. But did you guys grow up together?
We did. We crossed paths in Florida, sort of in the middle of the many moves that I've done in my life. But really what it was, my parents, because we'd moved so much, my parents promised me that we would be in one place until I was done with high school.
Did that happen?
And it was wherever the next place, and it did, and that was Orlando. And because of that, I kind of have Orlando is kind of my unofficial hometown, even though I've lived so many places, because I spent really the chunk of my formative years there. So Orlando has my childhood nostalgia wrapped up in it.
I get that. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. You know what? This actually seems like a good idea for a topic. Why don't we talk about moving as children and as adults?
Man, how convenient this came up.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's like it was almost like it was planned or something.
Oh, man. We're good.
We are. All right.
We must both do podcasts.
I think we must. And what was the name of your podcast again?
A Play on Nerds.
And where could people find that?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know anymore. Whatever podcast aggregator you use it. We're on there. We're on iTunes. You can find us at aplayonnerds.com. We are on. Oh, what is it? Is it Pandora that now has podcasts?
Maybe. I haven't heard of that one.
I don't know. There's some sort of big online service that just got podcasts. It's very exciting. Jarman's going to hate me for not knowing it, but we're on there now. Just search for us. You'll find us.
That's right. And I listen to every episode. I consider you guys like the brother podcast to Rusted Robot. We always talking about each other. At least
close cousins.
Cousins, yeah, something like that. We're always talking about each other, referencing each other on our different shows.
You're those cousins in Canada we never get to see.
That's exactly right.
That's
Okay, so you just had a birthday.
I did. Yeah, I turned 33.
Wow, how does that make you feel?
I mean, not too bad.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I do.
I'm not wrapped up in it. I'm not turning 40 yet, so I know that'll probably be the one where I go, oh my god. And I'll buy the sports car. Mm-hmm. And I'll blow Joyce's college fund.
Yes.
My wife is shaking her head, so no, that's a no-go on that.
No.
But no, 33 is nothing. Yeah.
I hear you. I remember that vaguely. So let's talk about this. You grew up. Where were you born?
I was born in a little hospital outside of Williamsport, Pennsylvania. We were where my mom's family was from. Mm-hmm. But we didn't live there. We lived in a small town called Allentown.
Not too far away.
Billy Joel wrote a song about it, about how terrible of a town it is.
Oh, no.
Allentown.
Okay.
Pennsylvania, and this is all central Pennsylvania, and I don't really know it because I was a wee one at the time.
Right.
Then we moved to another place called Muncie Valley, Pennsylvania, which is another middle of nowhere podunk. My parents described it as, farm community.
Ah, okay. Why'd you guys move so much?
The reason is so a lot of people, when I tell them I moved a lot, they assume military brat, but I was a preacher's kid.
Oh.
And my mother is a ordained United Methodist minister, and worked with the Central Pennsylvania United Methodist Church at the time. And so the idea in the United Methodist Church is it's kind of a promotion thing where every 3 years you get rotated to a new position.
That would
with the idea that each move will be to a larger, more prestigious church.
And did that happen?
Yeah. And so my mom, every 3 years or every couple years, we kind of upended. And then for Muncie Valley, we then moved to Staten Island, New York.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which is one of the suburbs of New York City.
Right.
It's the borough no one talks about.
Yes. You don't hear about that one too much.
And we lived there during the early 90s, and it was like, I don't have many memories of Staten Island, but most of them are scary.
Okay.
Like
in
multiple bikes stolen.
Oh.
I remember my dad being very upset with me because I went out front and I picked up this little tube and came in and told him it was like a potions thing because I was 3 or 4. He got real mad because it was actually a crack vial.
Oh no.
That was just out on the walk.
It was
in front of the place.
It was used, and you just happened to find
it. Yeah. So I wasn't allowed to sweep the walk anymore after that. But that was cool. That was good at least.
Mm-hmm.
And being like, so this is the story I always tell because, when you're that young, I was only there from age 4 to maybe 5 or 6.
Okay.
So at our school. I went to PS20. We had a song. I still remember it to this day because we had to sing it every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Half of it was burnt down, and that part of the building was like walled off.
Wow.
We weren't allowed to go there. And we were in the other part of the building. And I remember that all of the bathroom doors, all the stall doors, got removed at one point because a kid had locked himself in and hurt himself.
Oh, okay. So you had to go
to
the
the
bathroom.
school solution was they were just doing it prison style. So you're just down the oven, which as like a 5-year-old is terrifying.
Yeah.
So I have to go midday. I'm already living a nightmare at the age of 5. And then I hear someone come in and this kid comes up and goes, "The white kid's pooping," and like runs out. And then all of a sudden there's like a crowd of black kids
watching you,
all like watching me poop.
Oh, that's traumatizing.
I don't remember much, but what you remember is really the highlights,
Of course. Okay.
It's really the parts that make you smile.
Yeah. I understand that. Hey, could you sing us the song? Or is that a little bit too much?
PS 2020 for me, singing together right merrily. And now that we are together, happy we'll be, proud of public school 20.
Wow, that's pretty good that you can remember that all these years later.
That's right. And then it just looped. There was like a little thing at the end, and then you just sang it over and over again until they told you to shut up.
Oh, nice. Okay. Wow. Okay, so your earliest memories are a fun song and being traumatized for pooping.
Yeah. Staten Island was a hell of a place. Heck of a place.
In 5 and some years of listening to you on the podcast, I didn't know that your mom was a preacher.
Oh, yeah. I make reference to it occasionally.
Okay.
Very occasionally.
Yeah, I must have missed it. So
that was, and then at that point, I think I had just turned 6, and then we moved again to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which is the capital of the state Pennsylvania in the U.S.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the lesser known capitals. No one cares.
Okay.
Fun fact, it was the official capital of the U.S. for like 5 weeks at some point while they were deciding on where they were going to put the new capital.
Oh, and you got to live there.
I did.
And how long were you there for?
That was ages 6 until basically right as I turned 10.
Okay. And
so we often moved in the summer, and my birthday is in July, and so it's always like right as I was turning blank.
Oh, okay. So
we'd
all your
always move
birthday
right as I
birthday memories are memories of moving.
Yeah, kind of.
So
not all of them, just every 3 years.
Right. Okay. So you have a few good birthdays, but not a lot of them. Okay. Did you find it hard to make friends?
In Staten Island, absolutely. I was one of, in my class, it had to be 25 to 30 kids. I remember being very full. I was one of 2 white children.
Wow. Okay.
And so it's just, you stuck out and you automatically became the out person.
Of course.
Like, I won't claim like reverse racism, but you know, in that situation when you're 5, it's easy to just be like, oh, I'm the odd man out. I'll go sit over here.
And you and the other white boy were friends, or?
A white girl, and no, because it was also at the age where boys and girls weren't friends.
Oh, wow, that's difficult.
Right. So even in that regard, there's even more division based off of your anxieties at the age of 5, additionally.
So you probably started to look forward to moving sometimes.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, because I can kind of relate. I went to, I believe, 6 different public schools.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was not very easy. It was all within Sault Ste. Marie, where I was born and raised, but not easy. All around town, different spots, different places.
So you guys got redistricted or what?
No, Mom just moved a lot, always trying to improve our life and get us a better place to live, different areas of town, and it was never good. So
she was always hustling.
She was trying, yeah. She was trying to make things better, and hard to make friends because you never know what to expect or how long you're going to be there for.
Do you have anybody from that era that you still regard as a friend?
Actually, yes. The last school that we ended up at, I was there for grades 6, 7, and 8, and I still know my buddy Andrew. So.
Okay, cool. Well, that's good.
So not horrible, but.
That's funny. The one person that I can pull from this time is also someone named Andrew.
Oh, is that right?
And it's only because he's my godbrother, and so we had like some extra linkage.
Right. Okay. And so then you're at this time you're 10 years old, and where did you move to then?
So this is when we got to Florida.
Okay, that's quite a bit of a ways away, or?
Yeah, that's from the northeast of the U.S. to the very southeast tip, basically.
Okay. So far enough.
The little thing that sticks out that looks like a little foot. Right. That's Florida.
Yes.
So yeah, we drove that. And that was fun. And I kind of divide Florida into 2 parts because we had just gotten there and school starts early in Florida so I had very little summer break.
Oh no.
Because I went from a place where it starts late to a place where it starts early.
Rip off.
Yeah, got ripped off by like 3 or 4 weeks. So we get there. I'm bummed because we just had to move, and I get put into this school, and then this is where I meet Jarman.
Okay.
Is like him inviting like me to kind of his gang of people, and then for the first 5 weeks, our house wasn't ready. So we had to live an hour and a half away in a place called Lakeland.
Oh, and travel every morning?
So my dad and I would get up at we were out the door at like 4:45 probably.
Ouch.
To do the hour and a half drive into Orlando. Then he would drop me off with like an early morning care thing at the school. Mm-hmm. And then he would go and I'd do early morning care from like 6 a.m. until 8 when school started. And then I would get released. I'd do afternoon care until he got there at like 4. And then we would drive from Orlando back to Lakeland.
And this went on for just over a month.
5 weeks, yeah. Wow. But really, I look back at it because people were inviting me over, inviting me to come do things. And Jarman was inviting me over to his house after school, and I couldn't do it.
Oh, no.
During like that very first month when I already was like
fish
on my
water and yeah.
Yeah. So I remember that first 5 weeks being like the worst 5 weeks ever.
I can imagine. And you're 10 years old and you're in grade what?
5.
5. Okay. And then you meet Jarman, you meet all these other people.
And then finally we moved to Orlando, and then that's kind of the beginning of the Wonder Years.
Okay, what happened?
I got to stay in one place. Mm-hmm. I got to go through 5th grade all the way through 12th, so our senior year of high school.
Nice.
And I got to like, be a kid and have friendships that lasted more than a year.
That's important, especially at that age.
Yeah. So that's sort of where I think of like, as I said, my hometown, regardless of all the other places, because when I think back and smile, that's like, that's the town I'm thinking of.
That's right. And that's Orlando.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so you were there till your 12th grade?
Yes.
And then what happened?
So then my mother took a teaching job at a university out in Seattle. That was actually my senior year. So my senior year, my mom was basically in Seattle full time.
And you were still in Orlando.
Yeah, and me and my dad lived the bachelor life down in Orlando, and I had no rules at all senior year.
That must have been heaven for you at that age.
It was optimal. It was real good.
I bet.
My dad and I had a deal where I needed to let him know where I was by 11
Okay, that's decent.
at night.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
You're what, 17?
If that
18?
wasn't home, 17, yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is, I kept my grades up. I had gotten one detention ever in all of high school. I wasn't a problem kid. They knew my friends. They knew who I ran around with. We're all just nerds and geeks and people like Jarman.
Yeah, weren't you guys theater nerds?
Yeah, we were theater nerds. We had late rehearsals and cast parties and cast events and stuff. And that just wasn't, and even so, Jarman, not say Jarman and I were straight-laced, but Jarman and I actually internally, and he probably would remember this and wouldn't mind me sharing, we made a deal with each other that like we weren't going to be drunken idiots in high school.
Oh.
And so him and I decided that we weren't going to drink until we graduated.
Mm-hmm. And that happened?
Yeah, we both kind of shook on it. We did make an exception. Senior year, it was homecoming, and our buddy Kai, his cousin, was going to get us booze and had offered. And Jarman and I said, no, we probably shouldn't. And then we both agreed, like, look, this is senior year. We've been very good about this. As long as we have like a nice controlled situation, we know who's going to be here. Why not? And we said, why not? And so sure enough, we gave her money to buy us booze.
And you got plastered?
Not plastered. As plastered as you can get on Smirnoff Ices and Mike's Hard Lemonades.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
You know,
I know.
I think I had 6 or 7 and I felt buzzy, but like 6 or 7 Smirnoff Ices is nothing.
No, not too much. Yeah.
All it is a hangover the next day.
Yeah, sweet buzz, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the one time we made an exception to the rule and went for it.
Well, you can always have one exception or two, right?
Yeah. We held each other accountable.
There
But
you
because of that, we were trying to clean up the theater department as well,
Mhm.
which had a bad reputation at the time. So we also fought that and made sure that at cast parties there wasn't drinking and that none of that stuff was going on.
Right, okay.
We didn't want that in our theater department.
No, you guys were like the old men. taking
Jarman
care of
was the
things.
president
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
our senior year. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
That's right.
And he went on to become a voice actor and a podcaster.
Yeah, and he got his communications degree from Boston University.
And where did you go to university?
I ended up going to Seattle because my mom, the university she was at, was small and conservative and Christian, and she liked the small and Christian part. And I got a crazy discount going there because she taught there.
Ah, yes.
And I took a look, and they had a very good technical theater program, like a very good, very distinguished technical theater program.
Mhm.
So everything kind of aligned, and so I ended up going to the university my mom taught at.
So that was the first big move for you in about 7 years.
Yeah, that was the big one.
Okay.
And that one was difficult for a different reason. So the summer after my senior year, my parents moved to Seattle early to set up the house, and I stayed and worked at a camp in Florida
Okay.
for 9 or 10 weeks, something like that, the whole summer. And so about 4 weeks in, I get a call from my parents, say, "Hey, what's going on? Is everything okay?" And they say, "So don't freak out, but we need you to make a list of everything that we moved
Oh.
that was yours." And I say, "What's going on?" And so they say, "Well, we don't know much. There was a fire.
Oh, no.
We've been told everything's gone. So now we need to make a list of everything for the insurance."
Well, that's got to be
So-
traumatizing.
So I started making lists of clothes and books, and I had a very distinguished hat collection at one
did you?
point
Okay.
in my adolescence.
Nice.
So just making lists of those because some of those were expensive, and then having to submit this like 22-page list to insurance claims to get approved or denied.
Did you get approved?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, they cut us the deal that they cut everybody, which is depreciated value versus replacement.
Mm-hmm.
You say, well, I had 20 dress shirts. They say, okay, well, each one of those dress shirts is over a year old, so we will give you 40% of its value in cash, or you can go out and buy 20 dress shirts and we'll reimburse you for all of them.
Wow, okay.
So it's taking minimum cash or going out replacing. So I remember we went on these crazy spending sprees.
I would too.
which for my dad and I was like not normal. My dad, you have to like force us to get clothing. So we went on these abnormal like $7,000-8,000 spending sprees to replace all these things we had to claim. It was incredible.
Did you get more hats?
No, I did not. We decided to take cash on the hats.
Good call.
So moving to Seattle was very much a very wipe of the slate. Like I came with nothing.
Right, and that's also what diagonally right across the country.
Oh yeah, that's 3,000 miles away from Florida.
Yeah, that's quite the Great Pacific Northwest they call it.
Oh yeah,
Right. Yes.
right in the heart of the Pacific Northwest.
Okay. And how was Seattle? Did you like it there?
Seattle was great. Seattle was college and me kind of coming into my own and gaining independence and all that sort of stuff. Even though I lived close to home, I lived in my parents' basement for a chunk of it, and campus was literally 2 blocks from my parents' place.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So I had free laundry all through college. It was nice. It was a good setup.
Sounds like it.
Howdy! DragonCon 2019 is fast approaching, so fill up your buckets of rum and keep up with the latest news, announcements, interviews, and mispronunciations of guest names as only the Con Report podcast crew can manage. Let us be your guide each month as we count down to the big event on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite media player. Listen to the DragonCon Con Report. It's almost as good as being there, but without the long lines, smelly gamers, and hangovers.
But yeah, so then Seattle, my parents decided they want to move back to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is where my dad grew up.
Right.
So right after I graduated from college, like 3 weeks later, they move. And I had met my now wife at the time, Anna Marie, so I decided I'm going to stay in Seattle.
Of course.
So I spent 2.5 years there just like slumming it and scraping by. I graduated in the great hiring freeze of 2008.
Oh, ouch. That's not good.
Right. There was just no work to be had. I worked at Blockbuster and then took side gigs doing professional improv.
Whatever you had to do.
For a theater troupe. Yeah. I smoked way too much weed. I basically lived like a transient. Like essentially that's, I had a roof over my head, but
But you're scraping by.
Yeah, I was making $7 an hour at Blockbuster,
Ouch.
which was not doing well,
No.
as
No.
it turns out.
After you graduated. Right.
Yes. Yeah, I was ride Blockbuster right at the fall of Rome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good.
So I was
good
there
times.
2008 to 2010. I closed down 2 stores. Like it was good times.
Sounds like great times.
Oh yeah. So then it just got too expensive to live in Seattle. There was no work. It was kind of crazy. And so I moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania,
Mm-hmm.
and moved in with my family there.
And what happened to Anna Marie?
Anna stayed. She got a really sweet job over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And so we both agreed that like she needed to stay and save up and then move out
So you did the long distance thing for how long?
for 4 months, something like that.
Oh, that's not too bad.
No, like 3.5. Yeah, it was just a summer.
Okay, that's decent.
Then she came out and joined me, and my brother at the time broke up with his like long-term girlfriend of 14 years or something, and moved back in. So suddenly, my brother and I are living at home. I brought a fiance with me, and we started figuring out how the hell we're going to get out of there.
I would too, yes, because that's too much.
Yeah, 8 months was enough. So at that point, we save up and scratch together. He saves up and scratches together, and we move to Brooklyn, New York.
That's why there?
My brother was in love with the city. He loved New York City. He always says that's like where the work is, but really, he was working for a doctor in Miami at the time, so he could have been anywhere. Like he could have been working anywhere. So really, it was just his preference to be in the city.
Okay, so you and your brother and your now wife all moved to New York.
Yeah, she was still fiancée at the time. We got married 3 or 4 months after we got there.
Okay.
So yeah, and then we got so lucky on an apartment. Like you ever see those unrealistic apartments in movies or TV shows when someone goes like, "There's no way they could afford that."
Like the apartments on Friends.
Yes, we kind of got one of those apartments.
Mm-hmm.
It was a old textile factory that they had taken the textile floors and just blocked them up into these big hunkin' apartments.
Oh, that must have been amazing.
We got in. The apartment didn't even go on the market because my brother knew the prior tenant who hooked us up with the landlord. It was like the perfect situation. And so we had our great place in Brooklyn for a year and a half or so, I think.
Nice. Okay.
But then my brother met his now wife and said, "All right, you guys got to get out." So then we moved down to South Brooklyn.
Okay.
Which was fun and was my wife and I's first like just us place.
And how was that? How'd you guys get along?
Oh, good. We got cats. That was fun and interesting. And we lived there for, I don't know, 2 years, something like that. But it was a good little place. It was literally a basement that was cut out. We were right next to the boiler room. Because we were in the basement, there were support posts for the house that came down all through our apartment. So because that, like, we couldn't have a couch.
Oh, no.
Because there was no spot big enough to have a couch where there wasn't, like, a support beam.
No, jeez. Okay. So I hope you got cheap rent at least.
Oh, yeah. Really good. And that's sort of the magic of New York. Most of the buildings are so old that they cannot be individually metered. So because of that, landlords are forced to, like, roll it into your rent.
Ah, perfect.
So, yeah. So we had, like, heating, cooling, trash, water, power, and the place for $1,000 a month.
And that's how long ago?
This would have been 9 years ago.
Okay. I think that's pretty decent, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. That's just one of those magic little places you can only find in New York.
Okay.
You get lucky, you find a landlord who just wants good people who are going to pay their rent on time.
Because that's hard to find.
It can be, yes.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
But yeah, so Brooklyn was a magic place. And then through work, I got the job out here in sunny California.
Mm-hmm.
And we packed up our lives into 17 boxes.
17, okay.
And shipped them.
And did they all arrive?
Yes, including my wife's guitar in one piece.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. So we did a major slim and then just went for it.
And it's all worked out so well.
Yeah, we've been here for 3.5 years, something like that. My daughter's coming up on 3, so almost 4 of them.
That's true. And you work at one of the top companies in the world?
I work at a big tech company. You can listen to our podcast and figure out who it is.
That's right. It was a big secret for a long time, but
kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I always guessed, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but yeah. And then you said it one day. I'm like, yeah, figured.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, and no moves on the horizon here, at least not anytime soon. But yeah, in my life, I've moved, I don't know, 10 times to a dozen different cities, something like that.
That's pretty decent because
it sounds like you have me beat.
Well, I've been in Timmins for 16 years, and I think I've lived at 9 different places here, just here alone in the last 16 years.
True, and that's hard to qualify the difference between, moving, where you're going to uproot your life and like take it somewhere else, and then I've got to find a new place.
Well, that's true because I moved from Sault Ste. Marie to North Bay, and then from North Bay up here to Timmins. So 2 major moves, but all kinds of little ones in between.
Oh yeah, but you like where you're at now?
You know what? It's a decent place, and I don't want to leave for 20 years at least because I'm so tired of moving.
Fair. Yeah, man, boxes get so tiring.
Yeah, and of course I'm a collector, so I've got all kinds of stuff in totes that I've never had a chance to take out because I knew I'd be going again, right? So why bother?
Right. Well, now you just got to get some display cases settled down.
Well, that's what I'm working on right now. I'm currently building a shelf, so.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so things are coming along finally.
Yes, that's that was a crazy big moving talk.
Yes, it was. That's totally unexpected, but we learned a lot about you and a bit about your history. And what would you say you've learned from all this moving?
From all this moving is don't be afraid to use it as an opportunity to decide what really matters to you. Don't feel like you have to keep everything. Use it as a time to say, is this something that I want to have with me forever?
It's a good chance to minimize your collection and your belongings.
Yes. Though I will never get rid of any of my Muppet stuff ever until I die.
That's right, because you're a huge Muppet collector, aren't you?
They're gonna not a huge Muppet collector, but the things I do have are things that I like and things that I think are cool and unique. I don't collect everything with a Muppet face on it. I don't collect all the lunchboxes. I've got a handful of well-picked pieces.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought you had more than that, but I know you're like one of the top fans in the United States, I think you've said.
I was the best at trivia, or like top 10 in trivia at some point in the U.S.
Okay, that's what it was. Yes, because
Yeah.
you and German just did a 2-year look at all the Star Trek and all the Muppet movies.
Oh man, that took way longer than I thought it was going to. Yes, took 2 years to get through all of them, and we finally concluded until there's a new Star Trek and or Muppet film.
Yes, and I learned way more than I ever knew about the Muppets. Didn't learn anything
Or
about Star
wanted
Trek,
to know about
but-
the Muppets.
or wanted to. You know, I always liked Kermit. I had Muppet wallpaper on my bedroom wall when I was a kid. So
And then I got called in as an expert on one of your podcasts to correct some smug guy.
yes, my co-host Josh, who thinks he knows everything. That's true.
He just challenged the wrong nerd this time. That's all. He just made a mistake, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
That was a pretty fun back and forth there for a while.
Oh man.
That was good.
Well, if you ever need someone to put him in his place again, you let me know.
I always need someone to put him in his place. All right. So let's plug your podcast and any of your social media stuff if you want people to follow you at all.
A Play on Nerds on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, aplayonnerds.com. We're on, I can't remember, Pandora or something. It's
Spotify?
Spotify. We're on Spotify. That's the one. We're on that one. You can find us everywhere. There is no excuse not to find us. If you see us on the street, throw a rock at us. We'd be happy to talk to you.
That's right. Yes, and I can vouch for Steve right here. He's got an excellent podcast. It's one of my favorites. I make sure I listen to it as soon as it comes out. Any Twitter or something that you're on personally?
No, I don't really do the social media myself. Jarman does most of it for the podcast.
Okay, that's fair enough then. All right, Steve, thanks for coming on to the Soul Forge podcast. This will be out in a few weeks. Of course, as our listeners are listening to it, they're hearing it live now. But until then, listeners, take care. Remember to follow us on all the different places. And remember, pick your battles. Nope, that's too many battles. Put some battles back. Pick fewer battles. This has been another episode of the Soul Forge podcast. Find us on Twitter at SoulForgePod or email the show via soulforgepodcast@gmail.com. Soul Forge is a production of Sean Vanderloo and Friends. You can find Sean on Twitter and Instagram at Darth Vaderloo. Remember to visit soulforgepodcast.com for all of our social media links and share the show with everyone you know. Thanks for stopping by the Forge. We'll keep the fires lit until your next visit.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping through Amazon.com or the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.